Hi everyone, we are going to get started. This is the September HMIS user meeting. Welcome. Let me share my screen. If you haven't already, please enter your agency name into the chat box so we know who is participating. So today we're going to give you an update on some staff changes, as well as go over our new data completeness reports. We have a follow-up to the coordinated entry webinar that we held, I think it was last week. We want to talk a little bit about current living situation assessment and single date services, and also HMIS agency audits, as well as a reminder about the upcoming Labor Day weekend, and we will have some time for Q&A at the end. Really quickly, Myra has unfortunately left 211OC to pursue a new position with HCA, which is very sad. And we will miss her, but we wish her the best on her new position. And we are in the process of hiring a new data analyst. So if you know anybody that's currently looking, the position is posted on Indeed. All right. Data completeness reports.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Can I share my screen, please?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. So can you see the slides now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. As we mentioned last month, we want to provide additional tools that you can utilize to monitor your data quality. So today, I would like to talk about the new data completeness reports that we made available for you. These reports show the client's responses to all the HUD data elements. And the purpose of these reports is to help us identify any missing information that we might have on our data. As you can see here on the visual, you can find now all these reports in the data quality section of the data analysis tab. And that's the same location of the reports we reviewed last month. Okay. So we have 3 completeness reports. So let's start with the first one, the universal data elements. As the name indicates, this report shows the client's responses to all the universal data elements fields. The majority of these fields are located in the profile screen of HMIS. However, there are other located in the enrollment screen, and there are 2 fields, destination and project exit date, that are located in the exit screen. So they are a little bit all over the place. On a side note, before I forget, the data that you see here is from our training site, so this is not real information. This is just fake data. Okay, so by default, this report runs for the last complete quarter. But as we have talked before, you can also change the reporting period filter if you want to see the report for a different period of time. It's totally up to you. Also, keep in mind that this report will show all the clients that were active within the reporting period, not only the clients who enrolled in the reporting period, but everybody who was active. Okay, so now let's take a look at the second one, the program-specific data elements at entry. These reports show the client's responses to the project entry questions. So all of these fields are located in the enrollment screen of HMIS, very specific here. As the same as the previous report, it has the same filter, and it also shows the, okay, and also we're looking at fake data here. Okay, so last but not least, let's take a look at the program-specific data elements at exit. And as expected, this report shows the client's responses to the project exit question. So all of these fields are located in the exit screen. But here, we're only looking at clients who exited the projects during the reporting period. So those are the reports that I wanted to share with you. My recommendation is to run these reports every quarter to identify any missing responses that you might have, as I said before. And as a reminder, we have a missing response when there is a blank or data not collected, client doesn't know, client refused, in any of the questions that are required for a client. And one last thing of these reports, As you know, not all the clients need to respond to all the questions. So this table that you see here shows which clients need to respond to each field. For the most part, everybody needs to respond to most of them, but you know. So I would recommend to reference this table when reviewing the report so you know what is an actual missing response. So for example, veteran status is only for adults. But so if we have a blank for a minor client, it's not an error. It's just that the client doesn't need to answer to that specific question. Another example is the living situation fields. As you know, some of these fields depend on what the client previously responded on a previous question. So a blank here is not always considered a completeness error. So just keep that in mind. And as I said, you should review the reports along with this table. And yeah, we'll send a complete version of the table with the minutes of the meeting. Do you have any questions about the reports?
While we're waiting for questions, while people are typing, I just wanted to add that as many of you know, we've kind of put our data quality reports and project performance reports on hold because so many agencies have been working from home and haven't had access to their client files to make updates. So we wanted to share these reports and give those of you that are able to review and correct your data the option to do so. Soon we are going to start doing those reports again. So if you can do some work in the meantime to kind of make sure that your data is, you know, as complete and correct as it can be, you'll save yourself some work later. But that's kind of why we wanted to share this today.
Perfect. Thank you, Erin, for that clarification. Okay, so now let's talk about the CAS training webinar. Thank you to those of you who attended the CAS training. We really appreciate your participation as always. If you haven't already, please complete our satisfaction survey. As a reminder, the survey is completely anonymous and it's really helpful for us, so we'd really appreciate if you could complete that. You can see the link of that survey here in the slides. Also, you should have received an email with all the training materials and additional resources that Myra mentioned in the training. But you can also access the recording and the slides of the training on our website. You just need to go to the help menu, as you can see here in the visual. And at the end of this month, we will host an agency admin and data quality training. So we're going to talk about the things, the reports that we have mentioned in the previous months. And this will be on Thursday, September 24th at 10 a.m. And that's it. I think we will send the registration link in a separate email, so be in the lookout for that. And I think that's it for me. Do you have any questions about the training, CS, or the upcoming training?
I'm not seeing any questions, but if you think of anything, please put it in the chat, and then we can always come back to it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. Current living situation. Was that Linda or Casey?
It's me.
Do you want to share your screen or do you want me to share mine?
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, so hi everyone. We have added an optional geolocation field to the current living situation assessment screen. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit first and then show you how to add it. The field can be used to add a geolocation to the client's current living situation assessment, and the geolocation field is intended to be a supplement to the required assessment questions. So the geolocation field will not replace any of the current living situation questions that are required by HUD. You'll still need to answer all the questions as normal, and the geolocation is just kind of an option for you. So you will start your current living situation as normal by going to your client's enrollment and then the assessments tab. This client already has a current living situation completed, so the data will cascade over. So the current living situation is already filled out, but now we have the option to add a geolocation. So there are two ways to add your geolocation. You can click the current location button to automatically move the map and pinpoint wherever you are while you're filling out the assessment. And since I'm at home, I will just use the address option. So you can type in an address up here as well. And then when you click on it, it takes you right to the address you've entered. Then to save your geolocation, click Add. And now your geolocation is attached to the assessment. So you can click Save and Close to finish your assessment, or if you need to edit the geolocation, you just click this Edit button up here, and you can type in a new address or click the current location. And then you would click Add again to save. So we'll save and close. And then the next time you go to do a current living situation, the geolocation will also cascade. So this is a new assessment, but it's retained the geolocation that we just added. So if your geolocation hasn't changed, you can just leave this as is, or if you need to edit it to add a new location, you just click the edit button like we did before, and you can enter a new address or use the current location button.
And Casey, can you show, can you talk a little bit about who's required to complete the current living situation assessment, and then also kind of show how the field options change based on the location you, or the prior living you choose?
Yes. So current living situation assessments are required for ESG funded night-by-night shelters, ESG funded street outreach programs, PATH funded projects, and for CES. And the options change kind of like the prior living situation data element on the enrollment screen based on whatever you select as the client's current living situation. So, you know, there are various follow-ups depending on what you've selected. And the current living situation knowledge base article goes over these questions in detail, as do the data standards. And I believe also the current living situation training in HMIS Part 1 and 2020 data standards, if you're wondering anything specific about these questions.
So we got two questions. The first is, when do we need to use or input a geolocation? So the geolocation functionality itself is optional. We added it to allow street outreach teams or other projects that are using current living situation to be able to track where they're talking with the client if they would like to. So that's just the geolocation, that's the map that Casey showed, but the current living situation assessment itself is required for those project types that Casey mentioned. So PATH, coordinated entry, and ESG funded street outreach or night-by-night emergency. And then, is this intended to assist in the HIC report? It wouldn't be the HIC because that's beds. This could potentially help inform for the point in time where people are and where they're being served. But this is kind of the very beginning of this. We had an agency reach out to us because they wanted to be able to track this information. And we thought it was a good idea to give everyone the option to input this information. So ideally, more agencies will start using this to be able to you know, track where clients are being served to help with those larger conversations. But we're at like the very beginning. It's kind of the pilot phase. So we're not there yet. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions, Casey.
Okay, I'm gonna stop my shares because I don't need my screen for the next topic.
Okay, let me find where we are.
So we have a new delivery type option for service items, which is super exciting. It's called single event. So Bitfocus has added this new delivery type option for service items that are basically identical to long-term service items, which you enter on the client's Provide Service tab in their enrollment, like you see in the screenshot there. The difference between single event and long-term is that single event service items will automatically set the service's end date for you to the date that you enter for the service item. So this means you won't have to manually enter the end date when you're providing a service on the Provide Services tab. This option has been added to the agency project setup form and the supplemental services setup form. So if you'd like to apply this service delivery type to any new services moving forward, you'll be able to. And if you're interested in using the single item delivery type for services you have now, just contact the HMIS help desk so we can get that process started for you, because that will involve retiring your current services and adding new service items for you.
And this change, it's come up a bunch of times with multiple agencies as we've been using the Clarity software.
Mm-hmm.
Many of you have experienced that for every service you put in, you have to put in both a start date and end date, and sometimes that doesn't make sense. So this is a new feature that resolves that. So instead of, like, for rental assistance, if you didn't want to put a start date and end date because they're the same for you, you could just have a single date. If it's like a street outreach contact that you made with a client, that's usually only a single date, so you wouldn't want to have to enter a start date and end date for that service. So if you're interested, we can do this for you, but if there is a lot of interest from the agencies, it could take a little bit more time because we'll have to retire and create new services for all the agencies, so just kind of be patient if this is something that you're interested in. I'm not seeing any questions. Linda, where are you?
Good morning, everyone. So it is that time of the year again for the HMIS agency audits. Unfortunately, due to COVID, our audits this year will be virtual. So the first round of emails have been sent out, which includes instructions on submitting the 2 agency agreements, completing the 2020 HMIS agency audit form, and then how to check and self-certify your computer security system. We will be sending out the second round of audit emails in about a week or so please be on the lookout for that in order to schedule your agency audit. We look forward to hearing from you.
I'm not seeing any questions.
Okay. So just a quick reminder that the Labor holiday weekend is coming up, so the help desk will be closed on Monday, September 6th for the holiday weekend. We will be back in the office to assist you the following Tuesday. Have a great weekend and please be safe.
All right, so that was all of our agenda topics for you today. We do have some time if there are any questions that anyone has, either related to the items on the agenda or other HMIS things that you need assistance on. We can do a quick demo on something, or otherwise we will just end early. So I'll give everybody a couple minutes to enter any questions into the chat. Ooh, everybody has questions today. All right, so the first one is the next training on the 24th for all admins to attend. So the training on the 24th is not required, but it is intended for agency administrators as the kind of entities within your agency responsible for managing your data. It's meant to kind of help you understand how to do that and kind of what your roles are going to be in that. But like I said, it's not required. It's just kind of a refresher, or for any new agency administrators who feel like they could use some more support. So that's what that webinar will be for. And if you're not able to attend, we will be recording it for later reference. Do you have a date when the NOFA will drop? I do not. The COC board and the county are starting to plan for it though. They haven't put out any dates or anything specific yet, but they're starting to come up with their process because they don't want to have to figure all that out once it does drop. And we don't know yet what it will look like from HUD, if they're making any modifications due to COVID. But I think they're planning to have an agenda item on the next COC board meeting at the end of this month on the NOFA. What is the exit location for a family member leaving to the military? That's a good question. It would be, let me pull up really quickly what the exit options are. All right. So I'm leaning towards one of the permanent housing options because it is considered long-term, but I'm just looking at the list to see what would make sense. I'm kind of leaning towards rental by client, no assistance also, Christine, because, well, it could be a rental by client. No. I'm leaning towards what you have is right, but we can put in a ticket with HUD for you to confirm because that is pretty unusual. But I'm leaning towards permanent housing, so what you have is fine, I think, at least in the interim. I know for college, it's rental, no subsidy. That's what Casey's saying, because we've asked that one before. So I'm thinking military would be the same thing. Angie's saying if they're going to a barracks, wouldn't it be a rental with subsidy? That's what I was wondering too, is if it would be a subsidy since they're not paying, but if for college it's rental, no subsidy, I'm thinking military would be the same thing. But we can confirm. Another question. Can you show again how to find the recent CES training that you did? Just found it, never mind. Well, I'll show it anyway, just in case anybody else would like to see it. So just 1 second. All right, so I am on, so we'll put the link to the recording in the meeting minutes also, but on our OCHMIS.org website, you can go under HMIS help and then HMIS monthly training webinars, and you'll be able to see all the ones that we've done recently. So this is a coordinated entry one. I think we might have a looker one. I don't remember if we recorded it or not, but this is where we're going to be putting them. So this is a coordinated entry one. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions. I'll give it one more minute. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please enter your agency name into the chat so we know who's participating. We will be sending out the meeting minutes as well as the recording, probably early next week because of the holiday. And then the meeting minutes will also include the date for the October meeting, which is the first week in October. Let me pull the date really quick. It is October 7th. Another question, do both admins need to attend the Zoom audit? We require at least one admin. It doesn't have to be both. And if you haven't gotten an email yet on the audit, definitely check your inbox and your junk to make sure, but not every agency has received an email yet because we're doing this through the end of the year. Do you need to have a webcam for the audit? No. Although, you know, it could be super fun to awkwardly talk to each other with video.
I want to see you, Erin.
No, not me, just
No, Erin,
everyone else.
No, it's totally just up to you. I'm just kidding. But for real, I want to see you anyway.
Yes, definitely optional. You're not required to have a webcam. Zoom stalking. All right. I don't see any more questions coming in, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. If anybody thinks of anything, you're always welcome to enter a ticket with the HMIS help desk. Thank you guys so much for attending. I know everyone's crazy busy, but we appreciate you taking some time for us. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next month.